What is the definition of success? And it's one of those cliched, annoying questions, but it's a cliche because it's an interesting question. It's one of those questions that gets asked of every podcast guest and in every video interview. What is your definition of success? And it's interesting because it's different for all of us, right? Like, your definition of success is almost certainly different to my definition of success. And I've heard lots of them, and I resonate with some, and I don't resonate with others. But I was writing my book last night and I was thinking about it, and I wrote down a definition of success which I'm finding more useful than any other definition I've seen before, so I thought I would share it with you. It comes from the idea that I think was first discovered by Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. Kahneman, of course, being a Nobel Prize winner for his research into behavioral economics and essentially psychology more generally. Now, his partner in crime, his partner throughout his entire life's work really, was Amos Tversky. Now, Tversky died before Kahneman was awarded the Nobel Prize, and they don't award Nobel Prizes posthumously, which makes no sense to me whatsoever, because Danny's getting on in age and he's going to die soon, and once he's died, he'll still be Nobel Prize winning scientist Daniel Kahneman, and his partner, who did almost all of the same research and contributed just as much to the world, won't be Nobel Prize winning psychologist Amos Tversky, which I think is a grave injustice. So Kahneman and Tversky did this work together. And one of the things they identified, among many, was this idea that there are kind of two people in your head. I'd argue there's many more than that, but for now, let's talk about two. And person number one is your experiencing self. So the experiencing self for me is the guy talking right now. I'm standing here with a light here and a light there and a camera over there and the brick wall of my garage right behind me because this house is full of people and I've been kicked out right down the bottom here. And the experiencing self is the one that lives life moment to moment, right? The experiencing self is the one that says, ow, when you touch a plate that's too hot. The one that goes, oh, when you see the person that you love. The experiencing self is the one that exists moment to moment. So that's person number one. And person number two is your remembering self. And the title remembering self might be slightly misleading because calling them the remembering self makes it seem like that person only thinks about the past. But I would argue that the remembering self is really the person that thinks about your life as a continuous arc, as a whole thing. The remembering self is the one that creates an identity out of you and everything you've ever done and makes the timeline of your life important and meaningful. And so, yeah, your remembering self remembers things that you did when you were a kid, remembers that thing you did last week and what it means about you and as a person. I think it's also your remembering self that projects forward into the future and makes decisions and visions and holds optimism about what is to come and how all that, the future, the present, and the past will fit together to create an identity, to create a person that you are proud and happy to be. So your experiencing self lives moment to moment, and your remembering self stitches all that together into a narrative. And I reckon the definition of success is when the experiencing self follows the plan that the remembering self laid out. So often we make a decision to do something, to be someone. I'm going to quit smoking. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do all these things. You have all these ideas about what you could do and who you could be, and you make plans for them. And I don't think it matters if you do your very best to achieve those things or to do those things and fail. I don't reckon we actually mind that much when the ideas we have turn out to be a failure. I reckon the thing that kills us is when we don't actually follow through. I reckon what actually kills us, the opposite of success. I reckon that the definition of failure is when your experiencing self, that part of you that exists moment to moment, doesn't follow through on the plan that your remembering self put together. So in my day-to-day life, as I live moment to moment, I'm just going to try to remember as often as possible to be the kind of person that my remembering self wants me to be, now, in the past, and in the future. I hope that's helpful. See ya.